Chögyam, Mad, and Juanito sitting at the side of my bed at the Laurels Rehab Center in Asheville, North Carolina. I just got the word, push the button and talk. I could easily be interrupted. There has been all kinds of traffic going by in the hall. And something said, don't close the door. You want to be available in case they come by to give you a physical therapy or something. So I want to talk about the dark side. Early this morning, I was having a conversation with Matt, who's the unit manager here, about mindfulness. And he mentioned being influenced by Alan Watts, who's one of the great classic Zen meditation teachers in the West, a British guy. And I made, I don't want to say it was strategic, I made a choice to share with him a memory of mine that just kind of came back in a flash. And I went, is this true? Did this actually happen in your long life? Yes, early in my 20s, Rochester, New York, where I was in grad school, I happened into a building off campus that was run by some kind of Zen something, and Alan Watts was talking there. I sat in a relatively small room with Alan Watts, one of the great names in the Zen literature in the West, and I shared with Matt that he was drunk and that he was famous for being drunk. And that provoked in me a whole kind of study this morning over what does that mean? Why was he an alcoholic? Why was Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who created the Naropa Institute in Boulder and was the teacher of Pema Chodron, who wrote the great book When Things Fall Apart, why were they alcoholics? And I was just reading, just obsessed with Crack the Code about, I've always wondered why was it that he was a womanizer and smoked and drank himself to death before 60. And Google has the cause of death as cirrhosis of the liver, and they cleaned it up in Wikipedia and called it a heart attack. That's interesting. But they didn't clean up lots of the details. And he had a terrible accident and was paralyzed on his left side, and disrobed, stopped being a monk and become lay, and created a lot of controversy by his behaviors. And Pema Chodron, who I tend to trust, she's the real McCoy, her book, When Things Fall Apart. And my friend Jennifer my old girlfriend Jennifer, took a retreat with Pema. I think we both think she's the real deal. And she swears he was realized. He was realized. So was he doing all that to stir controversy? One theory I have, the one period in my life since college that I drank a lot was in New Orleans in the winter of 22 when I was there all 3 months. And partly I said, well, even the public radio station talks about cocktail culture. It's just part of New Orleans to drink. People just, it's 80% black. It's not your typical white culture. It's laissez le bon temps rouler, let the good times roll. It's a place that people associate with kind of walking the dark side. And for me, it was. And I drank a lot. And I said it was to be like, when in Rome, I drank a lot of Southern Comfort. Like, whoa, I can't quite grab her name, the rock and roll darling, the hippie queen. I'll put it in a footnote. I was so happy. I was so blown away by New Orleans, so happy, so much spiritual energy running so strong that I drank hard to calm down. I would never get drunk. I would just calm down, and it allowed me to sleep. Finally, I decided not to. Finally, I said, no, you're going to choose awareness. Keep choosing awareness. You find other ways to tolerate all this energy moving through you. So when I think about Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche and Alan Watts, was it because they were flooded with, because they had dropped the guard and they were allowing all this life energy to go charging through their system, and they were just trying to tame it down a little? When I woke up, is the word I used for it 5 years ago, close to 6 years ago now, it opened up I got the marching orders. You're to be a student of the dark side. You've always said you walk the low road to higher consciousness. So go there, the Freudian taboos of sex and aggression. And I am exploring them. I'm devoted to them. And then lately, love, to me, sexual energy is part of love. It's not different. It's not separate. It's not lesser than. It's part of love. Love and sexual energy are raging through me, just washing through me. I said the other day in a video, every person who comes through that door, I was over at Mission Hospital then, is God. God walks in, and I worship them. Yeah. I haven't solved it all yet, have I? That was the rambling. That was a rant or a rambling or a start, a piece of the puzzle of why I am committed to the dark side, why Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I chose not to continue my studies. I will try to figure out how to make sense of all that he was, as Pema Chodron said, realized, and drank himself to death before 60, which I did not do. I've not followed his path. Something went out of control, I think, for him. I think. But it's all a mystery. It's all a mystery, Alan Watts. And I want to get back to Matt and say, I hope I didn't scandalize you with that, because he was the real deal. Anything you learn from Alan Watts, aside from going drinking, but maybe go drinking with him. Maybe go drinking with him. Yeah. Maybe that's where you would learn it. I don't know. It's as much as I got right now.